Hi, welcome to the second episode of Track Shorts with me, Pete Rossignol. A big thank you to everyone that watched the show last week and for all the feedback I got. Really appreciate that. I did ask people to comment and make suggestions for future content, and I was lucky enough to have one comment from Marshall Smith. Big thanks to Marshall for that. And I've got it written down here, so I'll just read it out. So apologies if I'm reading from a script, which I obviously don't like doing. But one suggestion is for a video to discuss what you would like to change within the sport to make it both more appealing from a spectator and a performer's view. This applies to all levels, from grassroots to elite competitions such as SALs and Diamond Leagues. So, Marshall, that is quite a big ask to do in one episode, but I will give it a go. But it may have to be looked at over a couple of episodes because it is such a big topic. First thing I want to say is, I want these shows to generate a bit of debate. So whatever I say might be different to whatever someone else says, or my opinion could be definitely different to someone else's. So let's have a little bit of debate. I'll tell you what my thoughts are. You guys need to comment and say what your thoughts are. And then between us, we should be able to come up with some good ideas, which may be able to help our future athletics competition or structure or sport as it is. Now, athletics is a big, wide sport. So there's lots of disciplines. A track and field competition is going to be different to a road running competition, which is going to be different to a cross-country competition. So we need to take into account all of them things. We've also got a lot of tradition. So we have been around for hundreds of years. We were kind of in the first Olympic Games. So we have got a lot of history and a lot of tradition. I think sometimes that holds us back a little bit, because our current competition structure is pretty traditional and perhaps some might say a little bit dated for our current situation. So I think the first thing I would change is our competition structure. Athletics is built around clubs. Okay, so athletics clubs, there's thousands of them in a country, and also around league competition. So I think our league structure needs to change, and it needs to change drastically. We need to get away from having long, drawn-out competitions that take all day long, and maybe or definitely go to a short format competition, so where we can get as much athletics in to a 2 or 3 hour competition, because our lives are precious. Our time is precious. At the moment we've got so much going on, so much access to everything. We've got, we can go and do lots of different things. So if we can have shorter format competitions, I think it will improve it from both an athlete's and a spectator's point of view. Within the competitions, as it is, league structures, it's great. If you've got enough athletes, league competition is brilliant. But if you're struggling for athletes, you're stuffed, because competition or league competition is a numbers game. So the more athletes you've got, the better chance you have of doing well. So if you can cover every single event, you're laughing. Even if it's just with one person that's getting there for a point, you can still do well. But that is really difficult for the athletes, because if you haven't got enough athletes in a league competition, they're expected to kind of cover events they haven't done before, or events they don't really want to do. I've been a team manager, and I've got athletes to do lots of different events because I knew that we'd get the points. But from not being a team manager anymore, I know that's not kind of where we should be at. Athletes should be doing their event, and that's it really. So I think if we go down the short format route, it will improve athletics no end. So how could we do that? We could split it into event groups. We could have a sprints and hurdles competition We could have a jumps competition, a throws competition, a middle distance event competition, or we could mix it up and have a couple of each event at a shorter format competition. So, if we can fit it into a morning, an afternoon, or an evening, it gives everyone else a little bit more time to do what they want to do. So that's the first thing I change. Short format competition to make it more appealing to everyone. Second thing I'd change is I'd make a big emphasis on technology. So I'd make, it mandatory for every athletics competition to have electronic timing or electronic measuring devices, because it just makes such a difference. Because if you're hand timing a race, you're relying on the person that's timing the athlete to get it right. And we all make mistakes, and I've heard timekeepers discussing what time they should give an athlete because they've missed the gun, or they didn't quite get the finish. So I would go to electronic timing for all track events, and if you've got the equipment and the officials, electronic measuring devices for every competition, because it just makes it a lot easier, and also the speed at what you get your results is better. Now, I remember when I first started, sometimes you'd wait 45 minutes to an hour just to get your time, whereas now you can get your time as soon as you finish. Just within a couple of minutes, your time's up on the screen or on the internet, and you know exactly what time you've got. And usually it's down to the 100th of a second, which is what we want. So that's the second thing I would change, is technology. Make the most of it. Now, I've always wondered why we haven't picked up on using tablets and smartphones to record jumps and throws and field events, because we're always at the moment still writing it down with pen and paper. Why don't we just have it on an iPad? I don't know. Perhaps no one's come up with the technology, but that's something we should be doing, more technology in the sport. Going back to competition, along with the short format and the technology, I think we also need to look at making it more fun and more of an event than just running, jumping, throwing. Let's put a bit of music into it. Let's make it a little bit more competitive, so you got head-to-heads, or a little bit more stats. Commentary in events is brilliant, because if you've got someone that knows their athletics, that knows their athletes, they can do a little bit of background on the athletes that are running or jumping or throwing. So again, making sure that we've got people that know what they're doing and are good at what they're doing, commentating on the events that are going on. So there's so many different things that I would change, but they're small things, but things I think would make a big difference. I think as a sport, we rely too much on volunteers, especially, from day to day and for competition. I think, again, going back to the technology side of things, that will help. If we have more technology, we might not need as many volunteers. I'll give you one example. The last 100-meter race that I ran, although it wasn't particularly good, I did win. It was in Belgium quite a few years ago. I'll have to have a look on the Para 10 when it was. But all I remember is that being a starter and some guy on a laptop at the finish. There was no track judges. There was no, timekeepers. It was literally starter, marksman, and a guy with a laptop. We run the race, and by the time I got back to the finish, the times are up and the times are out. So that's what we need to be going towards. Short, fast, fun, and technological athletics events. I think I'm going to leave it there. What I'm going to do is look at how we can do things similar, but for cross country and road running and any other events out there that we can think of. But that is kind of how I would do it going forward. I hope that's answered your question, Marshall. What would I change? It's good to put me on the spot. I did do a little bit of prep, so I hope you've enjoyed what I've said. Now, what I want you all to do is just get on the comments, say what you think, if you agree with what I say, or if you've got some other ideas. If you disagree with what I say, put it down. I'm not going to be offended, because the only way that we're going to improve our sport is for people to have an opinion, and for the sport, whether it's England Athletics, British Athletics, county associations or the regional associations, to listen to the coaches and the athletes and the spectators, because we need to change to make our sport better. Look at cricket, what they've done with 2020 and with the 100. We need to start looking at ways that we can make our sport more accessible and more appealing to everyone. So get on the old Facebook or YouTube, make your comments. If you haven't hit subscribe, hit like, do all the other things, and hopefully you've enjoyed what I've said today, and I will be back next week with another video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.